Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be breaking down Lucifer Volume 8. We are going to be continuing the plot thread of God abandoning heaven and the repercussions of that. There's going to be a one-off issue in this one called the Neutral Ground, another one-off called the Lilith, all about Lilith's origin story, as well as the origin of Lucifer's break from heaven. That is a very good one. And then we're going to have the 4-issue story arc called The Wolf Beneath the Tree, where this god Fenris tries to speed along the ending of the world. All right, let's dive into it. Lucifer, Volume 8. Lucifer, Volume 8, The Wolf Beneath the Tree, written by Mike Careys, art by Peter Gross, Ryan Kelly, P. Craig Russell, and Ted Naifeh. This volume covers issues 45 and 50 through 54. Lucifer, issue 45, Neutral Ground. We are introduced to a man named John Baxter Sewell. He is a law school dropout stuck working as an accounts clerk at a major law firm. One day, John notices a financial discrepancy and, trying to do the right thing, brings it to his boss, who rudely tells him, "Just process the goddamn paperwork. If we wanted you to think, we'd pay you a living wage." At night, John escapes his dreary life as the lead singer of a punk band called the Genital Warts. Unfortunately, their latest gig is a disaster. John booked their band to play at a goth club, which, despite their punk style, was not the right fit for the venue. So chaos erupted during their performance, and the furious owner kicked them out and confiscated their amp until all the damages are paid. Once they're all kicked out, Puce, who is John's sort of girlfriend, she bans him from seeing her until he gets her amp back. Marky, the other guitarist in the band, volunteers to calm her down. So things are not going well, and then everything goes from bad to hellish, literally. Before John can sort out his band's drama, his body is possessed by the demon known as Unigar. Unigar has chosen John as a vessel to host a grand conference of demon lords. John will serve as a neutral ground of sorts. Now that God has vanished, then the balance of creation hangs in question. The gathering is meant to decide what comes next. So the meeting of demon lords begins taking place within John's mind. One of the demons, reading from some papers, says, "God is gone from this cosmos and he's not coming back." Another demon says, "Lucifer was invited to this gathering and he may yet attend. In the meantime, let us review our options." So the demons continue with the bureaucracy of their meeting, but Unigar grows a little bit bored. So instead of just playing host for the meeting, he decides to take John's body out for a joyride. Unigar, now in control of John's body, indulges in every vice he can think of: drinking, sleeping around, maxing out John's credit cards, getting arrested for public disturbances, and eventually returning to John's law firm to strangle his dick of a boss. And then John drains all of the funds that his boss was embezzling into an offshore account under John's own name. So now John is sort of rich. Eventually, Unigar decides to take John to see his sort of girlfriend, Puce. When he arrives at Puce's apartment, she is in bed with bandmate Marky. Unigar, enraged, grabs Marky's guitar, smashes his face in with it, and throws Marky out the window. Puce, angry and a little fearful, starts fighting back. She threatens to jump out the window. So Unigar decides to possess her, too, silencing her resistance. And then John's body forces itself onto her, and she tries to run, taking John with her, and both of them start falling out the same window. And while all of that is going on, meanwhile, the demon conference inside John's head is still continuing. Lucifer has finally arrived to chair the meeting. The demons welcome him and ask him how he will settle their dispute. Lucifer responds, "Thanks, but I'm not staying. I just wanted to make a point. Reality hangs on a knife edge, just at the moment, and it is in my interest that reality endures. Doubtless you only mean to take advantage of the current disorder, but In the process, you'll deepen it into chaos. Chaos, as I see it, is the true enemy. So, I'll be locking the doors behind me. My apologies to some of you. So, Lucifer leaves and he locks the doors behind him. And the other demons, along with Unagar, are trapped inside John's body. And John's body, at that moment, is still plummeting from the apartment window down to the street below to his death. Unagar takes it all in stride. Things happen. It's a shame, though, Unagar muses, to miss what was going to come next. He says this in reference to the potential end of the world that is coming. Lucifer issue 50, Lilith. At the end of last volume, we ended on a cliffhanger of Mazikeen meeting her mother, Lilith. In this issue, we will get Lilith's origin story and learn all of her past. We now jump back to eons ago. Lilith was created to be Adam of Adam and Eve's first wife before Eve, but she refused to submit to Adam, physically or otherwise, and she fled Eden, and she wandered freely, taking lovers as she pleased, and her womb quickened with every union, and she became the mother of the Lilim, a countless brood of children, each with a different father, each with unique gifts and natures. We see Lilith here with the serpent god known as Ophir, who was Mazikeen's father. They made love, and afterwards, Ophir went outside, and he wanted to see his previous child. He asked, "Which one of them is mine?" Lilith answered, "None of them, but you fathered that one with the gray eyes and the wild hair." She was pointing to a little Mazikeen. Ophir went over to talk with his daughter. Little Mazikeen was a wild, tomboyish child, fierce and unafraid. She even struck her father when her father spoke ill of her mother. Ophir smiled at Mazikeen and said, "That was well done, little monster. I wanted to see if you had your father's spirit, and it seems..." Ophir quickly stopped talking when he notices some angel messengers arriving. So he takes off and tells Mazikeen, "I'll visit you again another day. Keep your distance from the sons of heaven, and enjoy your feast." The two angel messengers that arrived were Lucifer, who then was still in God's good graces, as well as another angel named Yggdrasil. They were sent here to condemn Lilith for all of her lust. Lucifer asked her, "Why do you do these things, Lilith? You were made for Adam. Why do you soil yourself with demons?" Lilith defiantly answered, "Why? Because it pleases me, I suppose. I may have been made for Adam, but I live for myself, which is what living means." Lucifer decides to let Lilith live. He tells her, "We will withdraw and let you consider our words. At least now you're aware that heaven still watches you." Once Lucifer and Yggdrasil head out, Yggdrasil questions Lucifer, "Were we not sent to punish her? This resolves nothing." Lucifer answers, "It resolves my curiosity, which is why I came. If Gabriel wants a scourging, he'll have to deliver it himself." Afterwards, up in heaven, Lucifer talks with his brother, Gabriel. Gabriel is the one that sent him and Yggdrasil to deal with Lilith. Gabriel sent them to kill her, but Lucifer decided not to. Lucifer tells Gabriel now, "I didn't see the point in killing her." Gabriel replied, "Lucifer, we discussed this in the conclave. We reached a decision. If she cannot contain her lust, then she has to die. By doing nothing, you erode heaven's authority." Lucifer argued back, "Heaven's authority derives from my father, and my father has not spoken." Gabriel to this argues back, "Yahweh has said nothing to any of us since the business of creation was finished, but he fashioned us to be his hands and his tools. For us to remain idle would therefore be a sin." So basically, God has not been talking for quite a while. So Gabriel has sort of made himself the voice of God in that silence, wielding judgment like a weapon. And Lucifer and Gabriel have been at odds over this for ages. Over the coming months, Lilith seduced both Lucifer and Yggdrasil. She seduced Lucifer not with her body, but with her intellect. She listened to Lucifer's frustrations, his desires for freedom and independence, the resentment toward his father. She gave him no comforting answers, only truth. Yggdrasil she seduced with her body. She drew him to her bed. And she was perhaps drawn to him a bit as well, to his beauty. Lilith listened to Yggdrasil dream of building a great city for the angels, the Silver City, which did not exist back then. It was a dream which Yggdrasil's brother Gabriel forbade. For angels, Gabriel said, must not create. Yggdrasil, despite his initial criticism of Lilith, ended up bedding with her. And together, through their union, they had a son named Brydak. Brydak is another character we met in previous Lucifer volumes. Yggdrasil was horrified by the birth, and he turned away from Lilith in shame, repenting his sin. He wanted nothing to do with her, but Lilith then offered her children, the Lilim, as laborers to help Yggdrasil realize his dream of building the Silver City. So Yggdrasil agreed, and the Lilim were brought up to heaven, and they began constructing the city. We see little Mazikeen and Brydak up there in the Silver City, watching its construction. Brydak questioned, "Why are we making a city for them, Mazikeen? They're just birds, big silly birds with not enough feathers." Mazikeen answered, "We're building it because Mother said so, because one of the angels is her special friend." Over time, Yggdrasil's Silver City rose up. It was radiant and beautiful, and it would be crowned with a fountain of flame, which Lucifer would have to light. Yggdrasil explained to his brother Gabriel that the fire is a symbol of spirit, forever upwelling, forever reborn. And in some sense, it is ourselves too, for as flame is, we are essence without shape, energy without the bounds set by God. Gabriel told Yggdrasil that he would not tolerate the presence of the demons here in the Silver City. Gabriel says that Lilith and all of her brood must be banished, and he decrees this, or no angel would ever enter the city. Gabriel, not wanting to give up his dreams, agreed to these demands from Gabriel. Overhearing this conversation was Mazikeen and Brydak, and they took this as an insult. Their mother Lilith and all of her children built this city, and now they are being cast off? The two of them, fiercely loyal to their mother, began plotting revenge. We see Yggdrasil meeting with Lucifer. Yggdrasil shows Lucifer where the pool of fire is supposed to be. He says excitingly, "It'll be a fountain of fire, endlessly upwelling. What say you? You could do it with a gesture. Please, this is the realization of my dream." Lucifer told his brother he would think about it, and then he would let him know. Soon after Lucifer departed, Mazikeen went over to Yggdrasil and talked with him. Mazikeen claimed to have told her mother what Gabriel and Yggdrasil were talking about. And now Mazikeen's mother Lilith was angry, and she wished to speak with Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil, not wanting to lose his Lilim workforce, agreed to follow Mazikeen to speak with Lilith. Mazikeen, she lured Yggdrasil into a trap. When Yggdrasil walked into a room, Brydak was waiting above, and he cut the rope on a block, and the block fell to the ground, crushing Yggdrasil. As Yggdrasil lay stunned, Mazikeen drove a dagger tipped with her father's venom into Yggdrasil's heart, killing him. When Gabriel learned of the events that transpired, that Yggdrasil was now dead, and the Lilim offspring were to blame, his fury was palpable. Gabriel said to the other angels, "The children of the Lilim will be given every opportunity to repent and atone. Only if they persist in evil will there be any need for blood." Mazikeen and Brydak were soon arrested, and they awaited sentencing. Lilith, with the army of her children, demanded that they be released. She said to the angels, "I will have my children. Do you see this army at my back? Tell them it cannot be." The angels told Lilith that she must wait upon justice. Lilith responded, "If my children are not returned to me, we will take back what we made." She says this, referring to the Silver City which they stand in. Later on, Gabriel speaks with the children. He tells them to repent their sins, abase themselves before heaven's judgment seat, beg for pardon of those they've wronged. Little Mazakine responded, "Stupid, horrible angel, I'm glad Gabriel's dead. I'll be glad when you're dead." Brydak chimes in, "So will I." Gabriel, seeing no way out of this, believes that the children must die. He then brandishes his sword. Lucifer could sit on the sidelines no longer, though. As tensions were mounting, Lucifer interrupted, and he lit up Gabriel's fountain in flames, and the flames leaped high into the sky. Gabriel, annoyed with Lucifer, says, "Lucifer, you may not interfere here. The voice of heaven has spoken." Lucifer to this said, "No, the voice I hear is yours, Gabriel, just as the sin is yours. For your virtue is not content unless it can intimidate and enslave the virtue of others." Gabriel then asked, "Would you challenge me before the entire host?" Lucifer responded, "Challenge you? You are like a drop of dew on a leaf, brother. And look, the sun is rising and you cannot stop it." Lucifer points to the fountain of flames he created and lit up. He says, "All the sons of all the worlds, in fact, set the children free, or those sons will dance in this fountain, and the ashes of your holiness will mix with the ashes of your city." Gabriel yells back, "You care nothing for the children. You're just looking for an excuse to defy me." Lucifer responds, "I care for truth, my own truth." Gabriel rebuts, "God is my truth, and now God will judge between us." He then points his sword at Lucifer. Michael, he then interrupts, and he says, "I do not wish to see division among the host, Gabriel, and so I have kept silent. I am to blame in this. For their crime of murder, it is meant that the children of Lilith should be exiled from this place." Mazakine and Brydak yell, "We don't care. We don't even want to stay in your filthy city." Michael tells them, "Well then leave it, and perhaps my brother Lucifer will escort you to the gate." Gabriel thinks this is a travesty of justice. Michael responds, "Justice is my father's prerogative. The rest of us can only do what we think is right." So Lilith and the Lilim are going to be cast out of the Silver City that they helped build. Lucifer, who stood up for them, his disillusionment was complete. Lucifer renounced his name and his birthright. He no longer wished to be an angel, and he decided to leave the Silver City. And he told the other angels there, "For those of you who seek their own paths, may, if you care to, begin by following mine." And when Lucifer left, some angels followed in his wake. This ends Lilith's origin story, as well as the origin of Lucifer's falling out with heaven. Lucifer, Issue 51, The Wolf Beneath the Tree, Part 1 of 4. We are introduced to a seemingly madman named Charlie Gilmore. He was on various kinds of medication. Well, one day he killed his wife and son with a ball-peen hammer. He was arrested, he went to court, and he was found guilty. Once in prison, he continued to take more and more medications to keep him subdued. Elsewhere, in California, we see Jill Presto is now in a romantic relationship with Loki's brother, Bergelmir. The two of them started hooking up ever since meeting in their journey into the mansions of the Silence. Well, on this night, they hear some rumbling going on downstairs, so Bergelmir and Jill go to check it out, and in their kitchen they find what looks to be some sort of dead Viking on the kitchen table with a dagger in his chest, as well as 3 figures standing over him. These 3 figures are gods of sorts. There is Abonsam, Bet-Jogi, and Fenris. Fenris is a character with roots from Norse mythology. Jill, when she sees these figures in her kitchen, says, "Hey, this place is rented, you sons of bitches!" Jill, she threatens them all with a knife. Before Jill starts swinging, Bergomir comes into the kitchen. Fenris greets him. My cousin, Bergomir. These are my friends, Avonsam and Bejogi, gods of deceit and spite and small destruction. Fenris, he wishes to speak to Bergomir privately. They go outside. Fenris tells Bergomir, things move to a close. The hour of the wolf is come at last. Some will try to stop it. They must fall. They must perish. I must be strong enough to rip out angels' hearts, for angels will stand against me. Angels and half-angels. So with God abandoning heaven, Fenris, he believes the end of the world is coming, and he wants to speed that process along, and he wants to be able to stop anyone that will try to stop him. Fenris, he asks Bergomir for information. He says, 900 years ago I hosted a banquet, for former enemies mostly, to prove I bore no grudges against them. Bergomir says, I remember that today. Fenris continues, but I don't. I am Fenris, the wolf who devours, and nothing escapes my touch. When there is naught else to destroy, I needs must turn on myself. That offal on the table, I thought that he was one of them, but I was wrong. Tell me their names, the ones who ate my bread and my meat, and I will let your woman live, so you may have the use of her until the world's fall. Bergomir appears to give Fenris the information he needs, and then Fenris and his allies head off. So to summarize what's happening in this scene, at this reconciliation dinner 900 years ago, Fenris hosted a banquet, and there he fed various gods his own flesh and blood, so his mind essence could be stored outside of himself until the right moment. And he feels that moment is now. So he was asking Bergomir here for the names of those guests, which Bergomir gave. And now Fenris will hunt down these dinner guests and eat them and try and take back those memories and power fragments to reassemble his full strength. So Fenris and his allies are preparing to go. Before they go, though, Bejogi talks with Jill Presto. She speaks to Jill about the Basinos that impregnated her. In the Mansions of the Silence, Jill Presto managed to get rid of her son, Icon. Well, Bejogi tells her it was twins, and you only got the one of them. Enjoy. So, Jill has just learned she is still, in fact, pregnant. Up in heaven, the Archangel Michael is talking with some of the other angels. They are discussing how God has abandoned the throne, and how the gateways are starting to become unstable, and it seems like the world may end. Michael decides to try and seek out information that can help them. So he goes to Destiny's garden, Destiny of the Endless. Michael talks with Destiny. Destiny warns Michael, "You wish to read ahead in the book, Michael. I must refuse you that. But fear not, your journey will not be wasted. There will be something I will say to you tonight. I will accidentally convey more information than I intended. Please, my other guests are beginning to see sinister implications in my absence." Michael follows Destiny, but he keeps asking if he can just read ahead in the book. He wants to know if the world's gonna end, and if he can do something about it. He demands to know the answer is now. Michael even threatens Destiny, saying, "Or shall I simply take the book from your hands and read it for myself?" Destiny tells Michael, "The book has no existence separate from me, and so you do not need to do this. The glass will turn twice, and then I will commit the indiscretion I spoke of. In the meantime, sit, enjoy the hospitality of my house. Though the circumstances are strained, there may still be some pleasure to be had from a family reunion." Michael, he then enters a room, and he sees that Elaine and Lucifer are already there, sitting in what seems like Destiny's living room. Michael sits down, and they all talk. Meanwhile, back in the prison, we see Charlie Gilmore, still taking all of his medications. He goes to therapy. He sits in his cell. Meanwhile, Fenris's friends, Abonsam and Bejogi, seem to be watching Charlie in the prison. It seems like they have plans for him. Charlie begins to dream. He has weird visions of Yggdrasil, the World-Tree in Norse mythology. He envisions he is under the tree and his wife and son are standing up above high in the branches. Lucifer, issue 52, The Wolf Beneath the Tree, part 2 of 4. Fenris continues his bloody rampage, devouring old gods and growing more powerful with every kill. In Philadelphia, a conversation unfolds between two women on a park bench. One of them is Idun, the goddess of youth, and the other is Fenris's ally, Bet-Jogi. Idun laments the darkness of the modern world. You know, kids carrying guns and dealing drugs, 10-year-olds wearing thongs. Then again, she compares it bitterly to the past eras of war and suffering. Their casual conversation turns sinister when Bet-Jogi says she's only here for the day, and she's the bait and the cover too. So with Idun distracted with this conversation, Fenris arrives and strikes at Idun, pinning her to the park bench with a massive spear. Idun makes some desperate pleas to save herself, saying to Fenris, "I thought our difference were settled. I ate at your table." Fenris just devours her in front of the children playing in the nearby park, and he grows stronger. At the prison in Texas, Charlie Gilmore continues to be haunted by the guilt over the murder of his wife and son. He experiences visions of them waiting for him at the World-Tree. He is tormented by voices, and he is heavily medicated, spiraling deeper into madness. The doctors at the prison observe his worsening state. They note his obsession with a quest for a tree with stars hanging from its branches. Meanwhile, in Colorado, an old god named Skald is taking a steam. He seems worried. He is talking to someone on the phone, saying that Idun and Nord and others that were at Fenris's reconciliation dinner are all winding up dead. Skald, he thinks that maybe Fenris has changed his mind about what he allowed back then. Fenris, at that moment, then arrives in the steam room, and he tells Skald, "No, I lent my mind to you, Skald. That was what you ate when you ate at my table. My flesh, my soul, my memories, and now I need them back." Fenris devours Skald and eats him, retrieving his memories and reaffirming his plan to consolidate power through fear and consumption. Fenris, he then assigns Abonsam to capture someone he refers to as the Madman, which is in reference to Charlie Gilmore in the prison, all part of Fenris's growing plans. At Destiny's home, Lucifer, Michael, and Elaine sit at the endless table. Michael is furious at not being formally invited here while Lucifer and Elaine were. Destiny answers, "You were already coming. It would have served no purpose to invite you. Please sit and eat." Tensions flare. Michael yells, "I did not come here to be fed or entertained. I came to see whether or not creation could be saved." Destiny tells Michael, "I regret any offense. I can only repeat that you will have your answer soon." Michael grows more annoyed at Destiny's cryptic remarks. Lucifer then starts teasing Destiny about gambling on fate. He says, "Destiny, how do you feel about a small wager? Before this meal is over, I'll do something that isn't written in your book." Destiny refuses, arguing, "All things are written there. The wager would be meaningless. Since all things are predetermined, I do not gamble." Lucifer rebuts, "Well then, gamble that they're not, and you can't lose." After some more conversation, Elaine asks if the Silver City is returning back to normal after the damage the Titans caused. Michael jumps in and says, "The term normal no longer has any meaning, Elaine. God has abandoned us, and as a result, the whole of creation is beginning to unravel." Elaine is surprised to hear this, asks, "Is this true?" Lucifer answers, "Only Yahweh's creation. It depends on the logos, the Word of God, for its existence. My own cosmos won't be affected. Michael angrily chimes in, saying, and therefore it doesn't matter, as anything that does not touch you does not matter. Eh, Lucifer? Elaine, concerned, asks Destiny, but if this is the end of everything, you'd know, wouldn't you? I mean, we'd be on the last page of the book. Destiny says, yes, I would know. Michael, he then insists, well, that's precisely why I came here, to know whether creation can be saved or not, whether there is any point in further striving. Elaine adds, it seems like a very fair question. Destiny replies, perhaps. I have no opinion in that regard, but fair or unfair, I choose not to answer it. To read aloud from the book makes the book an element in the story it tells. The danger inherent in that is as great as the threat you seek to address. That this is a turning point in the history of creation is self-evident. The very script in which the book is written changes after this point. At such a juncture, the slightest word or gesture could tip the balance. Elaine questions, then there are more pages to come and everything turns out? Michael, he asks, the script? You say the script is to change? Is this now? Soon? Destiny tries to play this down. He says, my words were thoughtlessly spoken. Pay them no heed. Michael, he flies off in frustration. Elaine, she follows and exits too, leaving Lucifer alone with Destiny. Lucifer holds out his glass and says, and then there were two, as you intended from the start. In California, Jill Presto silently endures Bergelmir's pleas for her to escape with him to another world before Fenris brings about destruction. He also promises to help Jill with the Basinos child inside of her, the other one, but Jill remains unresponsive. Bergelmir, he departs. Back at the jail, Charlie dreams of the World-Tree again, and he dreams that he encounters Delirium of the Endless in that vision of the World-Tree. Delirium is her usual erratic and scattered self. She is seemingly angry about something related to Charlie's visions not being his own. As reality shifts, Delirium becomes distracted, and Charlie is jolted back to his prison cell. There, he notices his prison cell door is wide open, and that the facility staff lie dead. Abonsam and Betjogi are standing over the staff, drenched in their blood. They tell Charlie, we've come to take you to the real world. Meanwhile, back over to Lucifer in Destiny's realm. Lucifer expresses his disdain for Destiny's passive observation of fate. Lucifer, growing annoyed, grabs Destiny's book, he tears out the pages, and he sets them ablaze. He does this to prove that even Destiny's knowledge has limits. With the pages burned, Lucifer says, there, now we're both in the dark. Destiny simply replies to Lucifer to look at the ashes. And now you change your mind. Lucifer, he looks at the ashes and it says Fenris Yggdrasil. Lucifer's shaken. He realizes the gravity of what lies ahead. Lucifer, issue 53, The Wolf Beneath the Tree, part 3 of 4. After leaving Destiny, Elaine followed Michael to the Silver City. Michael entered a place called the Logos, which is a room atop a tower where supposedly God's words live. Michael, in an attempt to save the universe, is attempting to save creation by pouring himself into it, rewriting God's name across every atom. He does this by entering a deep sleep, and the power that was in him started pouring out across the universe. Elaine grew concerned, unable to wake her father, who was asleep, so she talked with the other angels there about what was happening. Lucifer then arrived, and he argued what Michael was doing won't work, because Fenris is heading to Yggdrasil, the World-Tree. The angel Uriel asks Lucifer why he even cares that the universe is ending. Lucifer explains that Yggdrasil is one of the beginning places, and although he was prepared to sit out the destruction of Yahweh's universe, what Fenris is doing might shake his own universe as well, and he cannot have that. So Lucifer, in an effort to wake up Michael, incinerates the Logos Tower and yanks Michael back. Michael emerges enraged, but awake. Meanwhile, Fenris recruits the broken mortal Charlie Gilmore. He explains the prior banquet where he fed gods his own essence. He then gives Charlie a taste of his own essence to bind him to him. Fenris plans to use Charlie as something called a chariot. A chariot, in the context of the story, is something that Fenris, or one, can use to ride to reach the World-Tree without paying the journey's metaphysical cost. A chariot isn't needed because the path to Yggdrasil is subtractive. Travelers lose parts of their self, whether it be their power, senses, memories, or even their body. But the chariot absorbs that toll for the rider. The rider arrives strong. The chariot is the one stripped and damaged. So Fenris, Abonsam, and Betjogi begin to coach Charlie in how to transport them to the World-Tree. They tell him he has to fixate on his wife, Sarah, and son, Bobby. Fenris tells him, "You will see your wife and child again there. Is that not worth a little pain?" So Charlie closes his eyes and starts thinking hard of the World-Tree and his family, and he somehow tears through a white void of reality and eventually succeeds in bringing them all to Yggdrasil. Fenris, Abonsam, and Betjogi arrive unharmed, but Michael arrives damaged and bloodied, and with an arm missing. Michael insists on seeing his wife and child. Abonsam reveals that he once stole Sarah and Bobby in the real world and replaced them with clay doubles. He's brought the real ones here in a bag. He begins taking them out of the bag and he places them on the ground in front of Michael. Fenris then talks to the others. He predicts that Lucifer and Michael will attempt to follow them, but they will come weakened because they will be traveling without a chariot. We see Lucifer, Elaine, and Michael. They at first traveled to the Norse land of Svartalfheim. Then they take an alternate route to the World-Tree, but they travel without the chariot, so their journey is much rockier. When they arrive at the World-Tree, they crash out of the sky. Lucifer and Michael lie broken and bloodied, and Elaine is now blinded. And with that, the board is set for the confrontation at the tree. Lucifer, issue 54, The Wolf Beneath the Tree, part 4 of 4. At Yggdrasil's roots, Fenris goads the maimed Charlie Gilmore into trying to commit kinslaying in order to break creation. He tells Charlie, "Strike from here. The blood of your wife and son must water the roots of the tree to set the seal upon the ending of the worlds." So Fenris needs Charlie to kill his family and have the blood water the roots of the tree, and this will somehow spur on the ending of the world. Abonsam warns Fenris that the angels are here. Fenris concurs. He says, "I taste their sweat and their blood. A great deal of blood. Their journey was hard on them." Fenris, he has to go and deal with the angels, but he leaves Betjogi to try and seduce and pressure Charlie to kill his family while he hunts the wounded angels. Fenris and Abonsam travel on, and there they find Michael and Lucifer bloodied and injured, and Elaine over their bodies, blinded. Elaine, she can't see, so she does not know who Fenris and Abonsam are. They talk with Elaine and pretend they are pilgrims on their way to Yggdrasil. They give fake names, and they offer to help Elaine's friends. They offer Elaine some sort of magical healing water that will aid Lucifer. Elaine, she begs for it, saying, "Yes, can you please bring some? He mustn't die, he's very important. We must reach the tree." Fenris slashes Abonsam's belly, and then orders him to bleed into Elaine's hands as the so-called healing water to revive Lucifer. So Abba and Sam does so. He bleeds into Elaine's hands. Elaine, she comments, it feels warm. Abba and Sam says, quickly, let it trickle into his mouth, lest he die from his wounds. So Elaine pours some of the blood into Lucifer's mouth. It revives Lucifer, but the blood carried some of Fenris's essence, and it, in a way, somehow let the wolf ride Lucifer's mind. Possessed by Fenris, Lucifer assaults Elaine. Michael tries to defend his daughter, so Lucifer begins attacking him. Michael then blasts Lucifer with some sort of energy bolt at point-blank range. Meanwhile, at the World-Tree, Betjogi continues to try and manipulate Charlie into murdering his wife and son. But Charlie manages to fight through her enchantment, and he impales and dismembers her instead, killing her, sparing his family. Meanwhile, the angelic duel between Lucifer and Michael escalates skyward. They fight in the air, and then they crash downwards through the World-Tree. When Fenris returns back to the World-Tree, he finds Charlie there, talking to his wife and son that are now awake. Charlie's wife, Sarah, asks, what's happening? Charlie tells her, it's all right, you had a bad dream. We all had a bad dream, but now it's okay. Fenris, he tells Charlie that Charlie no longer has to kill his family, for the roots of the tree have been watered very generously. Brother killing brother is every bit as good as husband killing wife or father-son. Charlie stands in front of his wife and son to protect them. He yells at Fenris, I won't let you hurt them. Fenris replies, they're irrelevant now, but you're not. You are the chariot that brought me here. Now you're the anchor that holds me. Lo, I cast you off. Fenris kills Charlie with his sword, decapitating him, and then he licks the blood off the sword. Fenris tells Charlie's wife, do not mourn him, woman. In this time of endings, he is merely gone a little way before things fall apart. Fenris then heads off. His work is done. We jump back to Lucifer and Michael. Lucifer staggers back to sanity, shaking off Fenris's influence. He goes over to his brother Michael, who is now dying from their battle. Michael's blood has poured into the World-Tree. This is what Fenris was referring to earlier. A brother has killed a brother and watered the tree, so Fenris got what he wanted. Lucifer seems to attempt to apologize. Michael tells him, it is too late, brother. We were anticipated and we have lost. I believe I am dying. Bring her. Bring Elaine to me. Elaine runs to her dying dad. Michael tells Elaine, there is a power within me, the Dunamis Demergos, God's power. When I die, it will pour out of me and overwhelm everything that exists. Elaine responds, but everything is going to fall apart now anyway. Michael answers, in days, yes, or weeks. But I'm dying now, Elaine. You have to take the power from me now. Elaine questions, take it from you, but how? Lucifer tells Michael she's not strong enough. It will destroy her. Michael, to this, says, I can think of no other way. Exchange forgiveness with me, Lucifer. I am sorry that it came to this. Michael tells Elaine, you will have to be both conduit and dam, Elaine, to receive the flood and then to pen it in so that it finds its level within you. Elaine says, I don't know how to do that. Charlie Gilmore's wife, Sarah, holding her boy, asks Lucifer, you gotta get us out of here, mister. My son can't take much more of this. Lucifer to her responds, the way out of here are almost as hard as the ways in. Just wait a while longer, it may all become academic in a moment or two. Michael continues talking to Elaine. He says, if you survive this, you will have many responsibilities, but I think you will rise to them. I think there are few things that you cannot do. Elaine starts crying and apologizing. Father of God, I'm sorry I never came to you. I never tried to talk to you. Michael answers, it would have done no good. I was proud and stubborn. I could have sought you out. I could have. Michael then dies, and his powers begin erupting from him, and they engulf the World-Tree. Will Elaine be able to successfully absorb this power of creation? Will the world be doomed? We will have to find out those answers in another volume. For now, we go to Hell, where Charlie now is, now that he is dead. One of the demons in Hell calls Charlie over to him and says, "Welcome to your death and our army." And with this, we end Lucifer, Volume 8. All right, let me go through my thoughts now on Volume 8 here. So the Neutral Ground story arc I thought was pretty fine. I would give that about a 7 out of 10. I thought it was a fun little concept of how these demons want to have a meeting on neutral ground. So they decide to have a meeting within this regular guy's subconscious. And then this one demon decides to go for a little joyride and takes the human over and makes him do all sorts of despicable stuff. And then in the end, they all kind of die. And Lucifer shows up too and progresses the plot a little bit. But all in all, that was a fun little one-shot. Then we had the Lilith supersized issue, which was great. I'd give that issue an 8.5 out of 10. I really liked in the Lilith issue how we learned the origin and backstory to so many characters. So we get to learn a lot about Lilith and what her deal is. We get to see Little Nazikeen. We learn the origin of the Silver City and some of the angels, as well as the origin of Lucifer's break from heaven. So that was all great stuff to help contextualize the overall story. Then we had the Wolf Beneath the Tree story arc, which I would give about a 6 out of 10. I did not really love the Wolf Beneath the Tree. I thought its concepts were just a little bit too out there for me. And the first time I read through the issues, I was very confused what was happening. I understand it now, but I hate some of these comics where it's so complicated to wrap your head around everything that is going down. So, for example, some of the stuff that really threw me when I first read it is like Fenris wanting to eat all these people. So I guess he like fed parts of himself to all these people like 900 years ago. And then he wants to get some of his memories back, so he has to go hunt them down, but he doesn't like remember who they are, so that's why he has to go talk to Bergelmir, and then he learns who they are and goes and kills them, and it's like, okay, fine, whatever. Okay? And then there's that whole Charlie Gilmore thing, and Fenris needs him to be this chariot, okay? Because he needs to get to the World-Tree, to Yggdrasil, and I guess in order to go there, you have to metaphysically transport yourself by thinking of the tree or something. And if you have a guy to act as a chariot, he's going to get all messed up, but you're going to be able to travel there smoothly and healthily. Okay, that's just like a little weird, but okay, fine. So this Charlie Gilmore guy goes to the tree, and he loses his frickin' arm. But Fenris and his friends arrive at the World-Tree. And then I'm trying to figure out, so what does Fenris want to do with this World-Tree? Well, he wants to bring about the end of the world. I don't fully understand his motivations, why he wants the world to end, but he really does. He wants the world to end, and in order to speed that along, he needs the World-Tree's roots to be soaked in blood from something bad, like a father killing a wife and son, or a brother killing a brother. So Fenris really wants that to happen. And I know initially when I'm reading it, I wasn't fully understanding all that, but okay, fine. That's what he wants to happen. I think it's a little bit weird, but okay, but fine. And so anyway, those are kind of my problems. I just wasn't buying into all those concepts, I guess. But I guess in the end, we did have a kind of cool throwdown there between Lucifer and Michael, which that's another thing I didn't really love, is that Lucifer goes crazy because he gets sort of infected temporarily with Fenris's blood or something. And then it makes him go all wacko. Okay, like that's a little weird for me to wrap my head around, but fine. Anyway, Lucifer kills Michael at the end of this, which is a pretty exciting cliffhanger. And then Elaine has to absorb Michael's creation power. So that is like a positive in the sense it's an exciting cliffhanger to end on, and I really want to see. I'm really excited for next volume to see what happens with all of that. So all in all, I'm very mixed on that story arc. So when I look at this volume on a whole, on all the story arcs combined, I would give this volume a 6.5 out of 10. So let me know your thoughts in the comments and what you thought of these various story arcs, and I will see you all in the future with volume 9 only 3 more volumes to go.